Step inside the minds of two of the most influential innovators of our time, Bill Gates and Elon Musk. This full audiobook explores how their distinct thinking styles, leadership methods, and decision-making strategies have shaped the modern world. Discover how Gates's methodical, data-driven approach contrasts with Musk's daring, future-focused mindset, and what each of their philosophies can teach you about success, innovation, and resilience. Whether you're an entrepreneur, student, or lifelong learner, this audiobook will inspire you to think bigger, act smarter, and develop the mindset that aligns with your own goals. Listen till the end to uncover actionable lessons and real-life examples you can start using today. Point 2 Billionaires. Two empires. Two opposite minds. Bill Gates thinks before he moves. Elon Musk moves before he thinks. Gates builds stability. Musk thrives on chaos. One optimizes systems. The other destroys them to rebuild better ones. This audiobook is not about who's richer, it's about who thinks differently. By the end, you'll know whether your power lies in calculated patience or fearless disruption, and how to use it to win. Welcome to Bill Gates versus Elon Musk. Their mindsets explained. Chapter 1. Think slowly or die fast. Slow down. Think. Because if you rush, react, and chase every shiny distraction, you will die fast in this game called success. Bill Gates understood that early. Elon Musk ignored it and turned it into his own weapon. Two different minds, two different speeds, but both of them master time differently, and that's why they lead while others follow. 1. Bill Gates, the power of slowness. In the early days of Microsoft, Gates wasn't moving fast, he was thinking fast. He spent endless nights not coding, but analyzing. He'd look at where the industry was heading, not where it was. He once said, "I never took a day off in my 20s. Not one. But what most people miss is why. It wasn't obsession, it was calculation." Every single decision he made was the product of deep, deliberate thought. When everyone else in Silicon Valley was rushing to release flashy products, Gates sat down with one simple question. What will matter 10 years from now? He studied patterns. He studied people. He studied failure. He didn't fear slowness, he weaponized it. That's how Microsoft became a monopoly in an era when no one even understood what software licensing was. While others chased quick profits, Gates slowed down long enough to design a system that printed money forever. That's not luck. That's patience in motion. And that's the first truth of this chapter. Slow thinking builds depth. Fast thinking builds disruption. Which one are you mastering? 2. Elon Musk, the speed of chaos. Now, let's switch to Musk, the exact opposite frequency. Where Gates calculates, Musk launches. Where Gates measures, Musk risks. Musk once said, "If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it." He doesn't wait for certainty. He acts before certainty exists. When SpaceX kept exploding rockets, he didn't stop to write long reports. He said, "Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you're not innovating enough." That's not recklessness. That's speed with direction. Musk doesn't slow down to predict failure. He uses failure to predict faster. And this is where most people misunderstand him. They think he's impulsive. He's not. He's iterative. He learns by movement, not meditation. Tesla? Born out of chaos. SpaceX? Built on exploded prototypes. Neuralink? Founded in a field everyone said was impossible. His secret weapon isn't brilliance, it's momentum. He believes motion creates clarity. He believes speed is intelligence in disguise. Because for Musk, delay is death. He says, some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. That's his core mindset. Speed over comfort. Action over perfection. But remember this, Musk moves fast because he already knows where he's going. His vision is slow thinking in disguise, planned years in advance. He thinks long-term, acts short-term. That's how two opposite forces, calculation and chaos, create results the world calls genius. 3. The middle path, control versus speed. So let's strip away the myth. Gates isn't just slow. Musk isn't just fast. They both own their rhythm. Gates's power is in control. He slows things down until he can see every angle, every threat, every loophole. Musk's power is in speed. He accelerates until obstacles break from the pressure. And that's your test. You can't copy Gates. You can't imitate Musk. But you can find your rhythm. You can ask, am I overthinking my move or underplanning my future? Am I hiding behind preparation or suffocating inside chaos? That's where discipline lives. Because it's not about being fast or slow. It's about being intentional. Gates's slowness is discipline. Musk's speed is discipline. Laziness and impulsiveness are not. It's not about speed. It's about rhythm. It's not about chaos. It's about control. It's not about moving first. It's about moving right. 4. Slow thinking builds depth. Let's dig into that phrase. Repeat it until it burns in your mind. Slow thinking builds depth. Fast thinking builds disruption. When Gates isolates himself for think weeks, he disappears from everyone, including Microsoft executives. He spends 7 days reading research, reports, ideas. No meetings. No noise. That's not luxury, that's necessity. He's not escaping work. He's sharpening vision. He once said, I read about 50 books a year. Reading fuels a sense of curiosity about the world. Curiosity fuels clarity. Clarity fuels control. And when he returns, his next 10 moves are already mapped. That's why his companies last decades while startups burn out in months. He wins the long game because he plays the quiet one. You too need a think week. Not for books necessarily, but for stillness, for stepping back, for seeing the bigger game. Because every time you slow down and observe, you see what everyone else is missing. You see the pattern behind the noise. You see the opportunities they're rushing past. That's where you find power. That's how you build depth. 5. Fast thinking builds disruption. Now, on the other side, speed. Musk lives by one obsession: acceleration. He says, if you give yourself 30 days to clean your home, it'll take 30 days. But if you give yourself 3 hours, it'll take 3 hours. He compresses time on purpose. That's how he forces innovation. SpaceX didn't become NASA's partner because of politeness. It became indispensable because Musk moved 10 times faster. When engineers said something would take 6 months, he demanded 6 weeks. And guess what? They found a way. That's fast thinking with intention. That's disruption in action. He builds chaos into progress. He burns the old system to reveal the new one. That's what every industry disruptor does. Speed so high the world can't keep up. But here's the secret. If you run without reflection, you die fast. That's why this chapter matters. You need Gates's analysis before Musk's explosion. You need stillness before movement. Because slow thinking builds the foundation. Fast thinking builds the revolution. Both are required to build your empire. 6. Finding your rhythm. Now ask yourself, where are you trapped? Are you thinking forever and never moving? Or are you moving forever and never thinking? Because that's where most people fail. They admire Gates's patience, but they never act. They admire Musk's daring, but they never plan. You must combine them. Your version of slow and your version of fast. Think long-term, act short-term. Dream far, execute now. That's how every great builder survives time. They think like philosophers but move like soldiers. And that's how you must operate. If you don't learn when to pause and when to sprint, you'll waste years either waiting for perfection or fixing chaos. 7. The takeaway. Gates's patience created structure. Musk's speed created movement. Both are billionaires because they didn't copy the world's rhythm. They designed their own. So stop comparing. Start calibrating. Decide when to slow down. Decide when to accelerate. That's the real secret of elite thinkers. Rhythm as strategy. They dance with time instead of fighting it. Because in the end, slow thinking builds depth. Fast thinking builds disruption. Depth without movement is stagnation. Movement without depth is destruction. Now that you understand rhythm, it's time to understand control. Because rhythm without control is chaos. You've learned when to slow down and when to speed up. Now, let's see how the greatest minds use that control to either protect systems or break them entirely. Chapter 2. Control the system or break the system. You have two choices in life. Control the system or break the system. Bill Gates mastered control. Elon Musk mastered destruction. Both changed the world, but they did it in opposite ways. And here's the truth. Most people never do either. They complain about the system but never learn it. They hate the rules but never study how the rules were built. They talk rebellion but live dependence. Gates learned the system so well he became the system. Musk ignored the system so hard he built a new one. Both paths require power, and both demand mastery. The question is, which one are you built for? 1. Gates, the master of control. Bill Gates doesn't move fast, he moves precisely. From the beginning, his obsession wasn't creativity, it was structure. He understood that ideas are nothing without systems to protect and scale them. In the 1980s, when everyone was competing to sell hardware, Gates focused on something invisible: software licensing. He didn't want to sell a product once. He wanted to sell permission forever. Think about that. IBM built the computers. Gates owned the operating system that made them run. Every time a machine shipped, Microsoft got paid. That's not luck. That's control. That's system-level thinking. He said, "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning." That's a man who doesn't just react to chaos. He studies it, controls it, turns it into leverage. Gates built empires not by fighting the system, but by writing its code, literally and metaphorically. He refined what already existed. He didn't reinvent the wheel. He made sure his name was engraved on every wheel produced. That's how he became one of the richest men in history, not by being loud, but by being strategic. He played inside the rules, but better than anyone else. And that's your first lesson. Control is not weakness. Control is invisible dominance. If you want to last, you must learn to control the system that controls you. Stop reacting emotionally. Start acting structurally. Because chaos is temporary, but systems are eternal. 2. Musk, the architect of destruction. Now enter Musk, the system breaker, the rebel engineer, the man who doesn't optimize, he obliterates. He once said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor." That's not strategy. That's defiance turned into a business model. Where Gates refined software, Musk reshaped industries. Electric cars, private rockets, solar energy, artificial intelligence. Each one started as a broken system the world accepted. Each one became a new world Musk forced into existence. When the automotive world said, "Electric cars will never scale," Musk didn't fix their cars, he built Tesla. When aerospace said, "Only governments can reach orbit," Musk didn't apply for a contract, he founded SpaceX. When the energy market said, "The grid is too complex," Musk said, "Then I'll build my own battery empire." That's not madness. That's mastery of destruction. He said, "Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster." He understood one law of progress. If the system resists growth, burn it down and build again. And here's the shocking truth. Musk doesn't hate systems. He builds them. He just builds new ones. He breaks the old to reveal the next version of order. You think he's a gambler? No, he's a designer of chaos. His companies are controlled explosions, destruction with direction. That's the difference between rebellion and reinvention. Rebellion is emotion. Reinvention is precision. Musk doesn't break things for fun. He breaks them to find truth faster. 3. Two models of power. So let's simplify. Gates perfects. Musk provokes. Gates says, "How can I make this predictable?" Musk says, "How can I make this impossible?" Gates builds stability. Musk builds storms. Gates controls the system from within. Musk creates a new system from nothing. But both do one thing the same. They dominate the structure they choose. They don't sit in the middle. They don't half-build, half-burn. They commit fully to control or to chaos. And that's your second lesson. You need both instincts, system, and chaos. If you only perfect, you'll stagnate. If you only provoke, you'll self-destruct. But if you learn when to control and when to break, you become unstoppable. This is how high performers operate. They enter a system, learn its weaknesses, and then decide, refine or rebuild. They're not victims of structure, they're architects of it. You can't lead until you understand structure. And you can't innovate until you're ready to destroy it. 4. Real-world application. Control versus break. Let's make this real. In your career, your business, or your habits, you face this decision every day. Do you fix the system you're in, or do you break it? If your job suffocates you, do you improve it or leave it? If your routine stops working, do you adjust or reinvent? If your relationships drain you, do you communicate better or walk away? Control or break? Refine or replace? Both require courage. Both require intelligence. But here's where people fail. They either cling to control too long or destroy without purpose. They confuse patience with fear. They confuse rebellion with wisdom. It's not about clinging or quitting, it's about strategy. Bill Gates didn't fight IBM. He aligned with them, then outgrew them. Musk didn't complain about NASA. He competed with them until NASA paid him. That's how you win. You stop fighting noise and start shaping structure. If you want Gates's wealth, learn systems. If you want Musk's influence, learn destruction. But don't mix them without mastery. Because half control and half chaos create one thing only: failure. 5. How to think like both. Let's train your mind to think like them. Step 1. Learn the system you're in. Every rule, every loophole, every lever of power. Don't complain about your company, your industry, or your environment. Map it. Step 2. Optimize what works. That's your Gates phase. Tighten operations. Create efficiency. Remove friction. Gain control. Step 3. Challenge what's obsolete. That's your Musk phase. Break what limits you. Rebuild smarter. Push boundaries. Then repeat. Forever. That's the rhythm of mastery. Build, destroy, rebuild. That's evolution, applied to ambition. And this cycle doesn't just apply to business, it applies to you. Control your habits. Break your limits. Control your time. Break your distractions. Control your emotions. Break your fears. Because everything you want is hidden behind a system you must either dominate or dismantle. 6. Mindset check. Let's repeat this until it hits you. Gates perfects. Musk provokes. You need both instincts, system, and chaos. Don't just admire control, learn it. Don't just celebrate chaos, use it. Your growth depends on which muscle you strengthen. Ask yourself, am I a refiner or a disruptor? Am I building a system or running from one? Am I managing comfort or forcing evolution? Because both Gates and Musk share one secret. They never wait for permission. They decide the rules, then rewrite them. That's why they win. That's why they last. And that's why you must choose. Will you master control or master destruction? 7. Closing transition. Control gives you power. Destruction gives you freedom. Together, they give you evolution. Bill Gates shows you how to build unshakable systems. Elon Musk shows you how to burn limits that no longer serve you. Both teach you one lesson. You are not here to fit the world, you are here to shape it. Gates perfects. Musk provokes. Chapter 3. The power of boredom versus the power of obsession. There are two kinds of power in the mind of a creator. The power of stillness and the power of fire. Bill Gates mastered stillness. Elon Musk mastered fire. One isolates himself to think. The other consumes himself to act. One seeks silence to hear the truth. The other creates noise to shake the world. You can't build empires without learning both. Because success is not just action, it's alignment. And alignment is born from boredom or obsession. 1. Bill Gates, the power of boredom. Bill Gates does something most people would never dare. He disappears. He takes a week off, alone, no phone, no meetings, no distractions. He calls it Think Week. For 7 days, he sits in a cabin by himself and reads dozens of reports, hundreds of pages, ideas from every corner of Microsoft and beyond. He isolates himself until his mind runs out of noise. Why? Because boredom is the doorway to clarity. He once said, "I try to read a lot because it's a cheap way to learn. But reading isn't the point. Silence is." Boredom slows the brain down until only the essential thoughts survive. While everyone else runs faster, Gates stops running. He filters his mind the same way he filters data. Systematically, precisely, ruthlessly. That's how he came up with Microsoft's direction shifts. That's how he foresaw the internet wave before it hit. That's how he turned Microsoft from a product company into a platform empire. Because clarity doesn't come from movement. It comes from stillness. Most people can't handle that. They confuse boredom with stagnation. They escape it with screens, scrolling, noise, entertainment. They can't stand being alone with their own thoughts. But Gates knew something deeper. It's not about constant motion. It's about controlled reflection. It's not about stimulation. It's about filtration. Stillness creates clarity. Stillness reveals what really matters. Stillness strips away the nonsense. He uses boredom like a surgeon's scalpel to cut through distraction and reveal what's real. So when you feel restless, when you feel bored, don't escape it. Sit in it, because that's your think week moment. That's your clarity calling. 2. Elon Musk, the power of obsession. Now switch gears completely. Elon Musk doesn't take think weeks. He takes no weeks. He doesn't rest to think. He works to think. He said, "Work like hell. You just have to put in 80 to 100 hours every week. If other people are putting in 40-hour weeks, and you're putting in 100-hour weeks, you'll achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve." That's not discipline alone. That's obsession. Where Gates finds clarity in boredom, Musk finds clarity in pressure. He doesn't wait for peace of mind. He forces progress through chaos. When SpaceX rockets exploded, Musk didn't retreat to reflect. He said, "If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion." And then he went back to work again and again until rockets landed upright. When Tesla was weeks from bankruptcy, he slept on the factory floor. No office, no luxury, just machines and mission. He's driven not by balance, but by obsession. He said, "I don't ever give up. I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated." That's not motivation. That's identity. Obsession is when your mission stops being something you do and becomes something you are. And that's Musk's power. He doesn't chase success, he becomes it. But understand this, obsession is not chaos. It's controlled madness. It's structure under fire. It's emotion turned into electricity. It's not about burnout. It's about buy-in. It's not about overwork. It's about overcommitment. He isn't busy. He's consumed. And that's why he builds faster, risks more, and reshapes industries while others are still holding meetings. 3. Boredom versus obsession, two forces of mastery. Let's put them side by side. Gates isolates to slow his mind. Musk immerses to accelerate his mind. Gates creates space for thought. Musk creates storms for progress. One listens inward. The other explodes outward. Both are powerful but in opposite directions. Boredom without obsession leads to paralysis. Obsession without boredom leads to blindness. You need both to stay balanced and effective. Stillness creates clarity. Obsession creates momentum. Clarity without movement is theory. Movement without clarity is chaos. You can't build a future if you can't see it. And you can't change a future if you won't move toward it. That's why Gates and Musk don't contradict each other. They complete each other. Gates teaches you how to see clearly. Musk teaches you how to move fiercely. That's your challenge. Learn when to slow your mind and when to unleash it. Learn when to isolate and when to immerse. Because if you stay bored forever, you'll think forever and act never. If you stay obsessed forever, you'll act endlessly and burn completely. Balance both and you master both worlds. 4. How to use this in your life. Let's make it real. You can't copy their routines, but you can copy their rhythm. Your Gates mode. Set aside time every week to disconnect. No phone. No distractions. No external noise. Right? Think. Reflect. Ask yourself, what's working? What's wasting my time? What needs to change? That's your Think week, compressed into a Think hour. It's not about length. It's about depth. Your Musk mode. When it's time to execute, go all in. Don't half work. Don't multitask. Focus like your life depends on it because your future does. Set a mission so big that it scares you awake. Then obsess over it until it's real. Most people fail because they never switch modes. They live in constant distraction. Half bored, half obsessed, never aligned. Don't do that. Be intentional about your states. When it's time to think, isolate. When it's time to act, ignite. 5. Behavioral discipline, the mental switch. Here's what separates elite performers from amateurs. They know how to flip the internal switch between stillness and obsession. They can go from silence to action instantly, from reflection to explosion, from planning to producing. They use boredom to sharpen their direction. They use obsession to fuel their execution. You can train this. Start by scheduling silence. Yes, schedule boredom. Then schedule obsession, dedicated, focused execution. Don't let your brain drift between the two uncontrollably. You control your states. That's the mark of a disciplined mind. It's not about endless balance. It's about intentional imbalance. You choose when to pause. You choose when to push. You decide when to reflect and when to rage. That's how Gates and Musk operate. They don't wait for the right feeling. They command the right state. And that's what makes them powerful. 6. Final reflection. Bill Gates's boredom built depth. Elon Musk's obsession built disruption. Together, they represent two sides of genius. Stillness creates clarity. Obsession creates momentum. You need both to create impact that lasts. When you're stuck, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you're imbalanced. You're either thinking too much or acting too blindly. Find your stillness. Then find your fire. One gives you insight. The other gives you progress. Together, they give you transformation. Because in the end, mastery isn't about speed or rest, it's about control. Control over your states. Control over your energy. Control over your mind. You don't need to be constantly moving. You need to be constantly aligned. Chapter 4. How they learn faster than everyone else. Here's the hard truth. The smartest people in the world don't just know more. They learn differently. They don't learn by collecting information. They learn by constructing understanding. Bill Gates builds knowledge like an architect. Elon Musk tears knowledge down like an engineer. Both move faster because they don't just absorb, they analyze, reconstruct, and apply. That's the difference between learning for memory and learning for mastery. 1. Bill Gates, the architect of learning. Bill Gates doesn't read for entertainment. He reads for architecture. He's not chasing random ideas. He's building frameworks, mental systems that organize how the world works. Gates reads 50 books a year. He said, "Reading is still the main way that I both learn new things and test my understanding." Notice those last 3 words. Test my understanding. That's the key. He doesn't read to agree. He reads to challenge. Every book he reads is a blueprint. Every idea he absorbs is a building block. When he reads about biology, he's not memorizing facts, he's connecting concepts. When he reads economics, he's not chasing headlines, he's studying patterns. Gates has built a personal habit around structured reflection. He writes down notes after reading. He pauses after each chapter to summarize what he learned. He isolates the principle behind the information. He once said, "I try to take things that are new to me and make them fit into a mental model I already understand." That's the discipline. He doesn't let information stay loose in his mind. He organizes it, integrates it, and makes it usable. It's not about how much you read. It's about how you organize what you read. It's not about more information. It's about better integration. That's why Gates can make decisions across fields. He's not formally trained in energy, healthcare, education, global development. Because he's built systems of thought, not piles of trivia. Most people drown in information because they read reactively. They scroll. They skim. They consume without connecting. Gates reads strategically. He builds scaffolding in his brain. That's how you learn faster. You stop collecting data and start constructing understanding. 2. Elon Musk, the engineer of learning. Now let's talk about the opposite approach, the destructive genius of Elon Musk. Musk doesn't build frameworks first. He breaks them. He said, I think it's important to view knowledge as sort of a semantic tree. Make sure you understand the fundamental principles, the trunk and big branches, before you get into the leaves or details. That's first principles learning. While others memorize the branches, Musk studies the roots. He breaks every concept down to its atomic truth, to what cannot be reduced further. Then he rebuilds from scratch. When he entered aerospace, he didn't rely on traditional industry knowledge. He asked, what are rockets made of? What are those materials worth on the open market? He found out the raw materials only cost 2% of a finished rocket. So he decided we'll build our own rockets from the ground up. That's first principles thinking in action. He didn't accept, this is how it's done. He asked, what makes this possible? Same with Tesla. He didn't start by studying car companies. He studied physics, battery chemistry, and thermodynamics. He learned the fundamental equations behind energy density and power output. That's why he can innovate in industries that take others decades to understand. He doesn't learn by imitation. He learns by reconstruction. It's not about knowing what others know. It's about discovering what others ignore. It's not about accepting frameworks. It's about reinventing them. Musk doesn't read to agree, he reads to challenge. He doesn't study to pass, he studies to create. That's why his learning curve is exponential. He learns like a builder, not a follower. 3. The discipline of learning differently. So here's your lesson. If you want to learn faster, stop chasing volume and start changing method. Don't just read more. Read smarter. Don't just study harder. Study deeper. Don't just learn to know. Learn to apply. Most people think learning ends with understanding. It doesn't. It begins with application. When Gates reads, he integrates. When Musk learns, he rebuilds. Both apply instantly. That's why they retain what they learn, because it's anchored to action. It's not about knowing everything. It's about understanding something completely. It's not about fast learning. It's about functional learning. You don't need to know 1,000 things, you need to own 10 truths deeply enough to act on them. That's the core difference between consumption and comprehension. Consumption gives you data. Comprehension gives you direction. 4. How to learn like Gates and Musk. Let's make this real. Here's how to apply their principles. Step 1. Build a learning system. Gates mode. Don't just read randomly. Read strategically. Choose a domain. Study the foundation before the fringe. As Gates does, summarize what you learn on paper. Write down, what did I learn? How does it connect to what I already know? What decision or project can I apply this to immediately? You're not reading for entertainment. You're reading to engineer understanding. Step 2. Practice first principles thinking. Musk mode. When you face a problem, don't start with, how is it usually done? Ask instead, what are the fundamental truths here? Break the problem into physics-level basics. Then rebuild it logically from zero. That's how Musk learned rocketry, automotive manufacturing, and AI from scratch. He didn't wait to be taught. He reverse-engineered the truth. Step 3. Connect learning to action. Knowledge without use decays. Every time you learn something, test it. Explain it to someone else. Teach it. Apply it in a project. If you can't teach it, you don't understand it. Step 4. Repeat and refine. Both Gates and Musk loop their learning. They don't just learn once, they revisit, reflect, and refine. They make learning cyclical, not linear. That's why their knowledge compounds over time. 5. Behavioral reinforcement, the builder's mindset. You must stop learning like a student and start learning like a builder. Students wait for structure. Builders create it. Students memorize. Builders internalize. Students ask for answers. Builders ask for principles. It's not about being curious. It's about being constructive. It's not about collecting ideas. It's about connecting ideas. Every time you learn, ask yourself, what can I build with this? That's the question that will separate you from the crowd. Because in this world, speed of learning is the new competitive edge. Information is free. Execution is rare. The only way to outcompete others is to outlearn them. Faster, deeper, and smarter. That's the discipline. Not to know everything, but to rebuild anything. 6. Final reflection. Bill Gates learns by structuring. Elon Musk learns by restructuring. One reads to build frameworks. The other breaks frameworks to rebuild them stronger. Together, they demonstrate the two engines of accelerated learning. Structure, to organize your knowledge. Destruction, to challenge your assumptions. You need both. Structure keeps your learning stable. Destruction keeps your learning alive. If you only build, you become rigid. If you only destroy, you become lost. Balance both and you become unstoppable. So remember this, don't just learn more. Learn differently. Learn like a builder, not a follower. That's the mindset of mastery. Chapter 5. When logic fights vision. There comes a moment in every leader's life where reason and vision collide. When the spreadsheet says stop, but your soul says go. When logic warns you, but instinct pulls you forward. Bill Gates and Elon Musk live on opposite sides of that battlefield. Gates builds through logic, through proof, data, and controlled precision. Musk builds through vision, through belief, instinct, and defiant imagination. Both approaches work. Both approaches win. But only when you learn when to use which. Because if logic builds your present, vision creates your future. Logic wins today. Vision wins tomorrow. You need both to win forever. 1. Bill Gates, the logic builder. Bill Gates doesn't dream blindly. He calculates. He doesn't start with what if. He starts with what works. From day one, Gates operated like an engineer with a lawyer's brain. At Microsoft, his superpower wasn't charisma, it was precision. He said, I'm a great believer that any tool that enhances communication has profound effects in terms of how people can learn from each other. That's not a romantic statement. That's logic applied to innovation. He saw software not as art, but as infrastructure. He analyzed markets before they existed. He measured outcomes before investing effort. He built Microsoft by scaling what worked and cutting what didn't relentlessly. In 1980, when IBM came knocking, Gates didn't have a finished product. He had a strategy. Instead of overpromising, he sourced an existing system, QDOS, refined it and licensed it, not sold it, to IBM. That one logical decision created an empire. Because Gates didn't want a one-time payment. He wanted ownership of the system. That's not luck. That's logic weaponized. It's not about guessing the future. It's about engineering it step by step. It's not about emotion. It's about precision. Gates always trusted evidence. When building Windows, he obsessed over performance data, usage patterns, error logs, measurable truth. And that obsession built consistency, predictable outcomes, sustainable success. That's why Gates is one of the richest and most stable thinkers alive. Because logic doesn't chase adrenaline, it compounds clarity. But here's the danger. Logic can make you too careful, too measured, too slow. And that's where Elon Musk enters the story, the destroyer of safe logic. 2. Elon Musk, the vision fighter. Musk doesn't follow data, he defies it. He doesn't start with probability, he starts with possibility. He once said, when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. That's not logic. That's mission. That's the power of vision that doesn't need permission. Where Gates' perfect systems, Musk burns them down. He doesn't want predictable results. He wants impossible revolutions. When he started SpaceX, every logical expert told him rockets were too expensive, too complex, too dangerous. Musk ignored all of it. He didn't care about what was. He focused on what could be. He said, I could either watch it happen or be part of it. That single mindset, to be part of it, is the essence of visionary risk. It's not about calculation. It's about conviction. Tesla? Same story. The car industry mocked him. Oil companies bet against him. Every spreadsheet said, bankruptcy. But Musk said, we're accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. No data can measure that kind of mission. No graph can quantify that kind of belief. It's not about what's proven. It's about what's possible. It's not about numbers. It's about necessity. Musk uses vision as his compass when logic runs out of map. He bets everything, time, money, reputation, on the belief that the future must exist. And that's the paradox. Gates wins by controlling risk. Musk wins by embracing it. Logic keeps you alive. Vision makes you legendary. 3. The war between logic and vision. Let's be clear. Logic and vision are not enemies. They're forces in tension, and you need that tension to grow. Logic without vision becomes bureaucracy. Vision without logic becomes chaos. Most people fail because they worship one and ignore the other. They either play it too safe or they jump too blind. Gates's world is a map. Musk's world is a frontier. Gates says, let's measure the path. Musk says, let's make the path. And yet both philosophies are essential. Gates's logic makes ideas work. Musk's vision makes ideas matter. If you only think like Gates, you'll stay efficient but irrelevant. If you only think like Musk, you'll stay bold but unstable. It's not about control. It's about balance. It's not about logic or vision. It's about logic serving vision. That's the mastery. You let logic build the machine and vision decide the mission. 4. Applying the dual mindset. So how do you live this balance? How do you think like Gates and dream like Musk? Step 1. Start with evidence. Don't make emotional guesses. Collect facts. Build understanding. Know your numbers, your limits, your tools. Logic is your foundation. It keeps you from collapsing under fantasy. Step 2. Then add vision. Once you understand the data, ask, what could this become? Push the boundary. Break the ceiling. Turn logic into launch fuel. Step 3. Test, fail, iterate. Gates refines through repetition. Musk refines through explosions. Both are learning loops. One learns by optimization. The other learns by iteration. You need both patience to perfect and courage to experiment. Step 4. Build a filter for feedback. Gates listens to data. Musk listens to reality. When something fails, Gates asks, what's the variable? Musk asks, what's the lesson? One fixes systems. The other fixes direction. You must fix both. Step 5. Know when to switch modes. There are moments to calculate and moments to leap. Logic is for building stability. Vision is for breaking stagnation. The art of mastery is knowing when to shift gears. 5. Repetition, the discipline of dual thinking. Let's engrave this truth deep into your mind. Logic builds today. Vision builds tomorrow. You need both to build forever. Say it again. Logic builds today. Vision builds tomorrow. You need both to build forever. Gates's logic turns potential into profit. Musk's vision turns belief into breakthroughs. One perfects systems. The other provokes revolutions. It's not about data or dreams. It's about data serving dreams. It's not about what is safe. It's about what is necessary. If you lean too much on logic, you'll spend your life optimizing someone else's dream. If you lean too much on vision, you'll spend your life chasing impossible fantasies. But when you fuse both, when you use logic to support vision, you create innovation that lasts. That's why Microsoft still dominates decades later. That's why Tesla and SpaceX continue to defy gravity. literally and metaphorically. Because logic gave them structure. Vision gave them direction. 6. Final reflection. The unity of mindsets. Here's the truth most people miss. Logic and vision are not different minds. They are different moments of the same mind. You begin with logic to understand what exists. Then you shift to vision to imagine what could exist. And finally, you return to logic to make it real. That's the cycle of creation. That's the rhythm of mastery. Bill Gates said, "I believe in innovation and that the way you get innovation is you fund research and you learn the basic facts." Elon Musk said, "I'd like to die on Mars, just not on impact." One speaks the language of precision, the other of purpose. Chapter 6. Why Gates delegates and Musk micromanages. Here's a truth most people in leadership never understand. Control and trust are both weapons. You just have to choose which one you're built to wield. Bill Gates built an empire by delegating control. Elon Musk builds empires by controlling every detail. Two extremes. Both effective. Both demand total accountability. This isn't about management style. It's about discipline. The discipline to know when to let go, and the discipline to know when to hold tighter. Because the wrong choice destroys scale, destroys speed, and destroys your mind. Gates and Musk operate on opposite poles of leadership energy, and both win because they own their pole completely. Remember this line as we go through this chapter. Leaders either trust systems or test systems. Choose your battlefield. Let's break down what that means. 1. Gates, the architect who delegates systems. Bill Gates doesn't just hire people. He builds systems of execution. That's why Microsoft could grow from a dorm room project to a trillion-dollar ecosystem without collapsing under its own weight. In the early days, Gates coded side by side with Paul Allen, but as Microsoft scaled, he did something counterintuitive. He started stepping back. He realized his job wasn't to do everything. It was to design the system that does everything. He once said, "I choose a lazy person to do a hard job, because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." That's not sarcasm, that's design thinking. Gates doesn't delegate tasks. He delegates frameworks. He empowers people to execute within a structure he's already engineered. When he built Microsoft's software divisions, he gave his top engineers freedom to innovate, but always inside measurable constraints. Code reviews, deadlines, layered accountability. He knew that trust without structure leads to chaos. So he built a lattice of logic around every operation. That's how he scales. That's how he maintains control without micromanaging. Gates empowers experts because he's already done the hard work of building a machine that runs without emotional drama. His leadership philosophy is surgical. Hire people smarter than you in their domain, give them ownership, and remove yourself from the bottleneck. It's not about losing control. It's about relocating control from your hands to your systems. Most leaders can't do this because they're insecure. They don't trust anyone. They think control equals involvement. Wrong. Gates's discipline is clarity before delegation. He never hands off confusion. He hands off precision. That's the key difference. He said it best. As we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. Empowerment isn't weakness. It's strength disguised as trust. It means you've built something so robust, it can run without your constant supervision. 2. Musk, the engineer who micromanages mastery. Now let's flip the equation. Elon Musk doesn't delegate control, he tests it. He is, by every account, one of the most relentless micromanagers on Earth. He once said, "I can't just be a manager or I'll get nothing done. I'm an engineer at heart." That single line explains everything about him. Gates delegates because his product is information. Musk micromanages because his product is reality. You can't delegate rocket science. You can't delegate the physics of electric propulsion. At Tesla and SpaceX, Musk dives into the smallest engineering details, from the thickness of aluminum panels to the angle of solar arrays. Employees describe him as everywhere. He'll walk into a meeting and challenge assumptions 3 layers deep into the code or the circuit design. Some people call that controlling. Musk calls it necessary. Because when you're building rockets that could explode or cars that could kill, trusting the system isn't enough. You test the system until it breaks, and then you build it again. He once told a team, "I want to know the details of every part that's 10,000th of a second away from failure." That's not obsession for its own sake. That's accountability at atomic scale. Musk doesn't scale through delegation. He scales through immersion. He believes no leader should ask for standards they don't personally understand. That's why he learns every layer of his company's engineering, production, design, AI, supply chain, energy storage. His discipline is immersion. His battlefield is chaos. While Gates builds trust into systems, Musk injects control into motion. And here's the thing, it works. Tesla and SpaceX broke industries no one thought could be broken. Because Musk refused to be the CEO who just reads reports. He became the mechanic, the physicist, the coder, the builder. It's not about being controlling. It's about being responsible. It's not about trust. It's about proof. Musk's companies run on one principle: no blind faith. Everything gets tested. Every assumption gets crushed. 3. The common thread: accountability. So what's the real difference between Gates and Musk? None at the core. Both believe leadership equals accountability, total accountability. Gates delegates, but if a system fails, he owns it. Musk micromanages, but if a product fails, he owns it. Different tools. Same responsibility. This is where most leaders fail. They delegate without owning, or they control without trusting. Both are fatal. If you're going to lead, pick your battlefield consciously. If you trust systems, build them with ruthless clarity. If you test systems, dive deep enough to understand every screw, every line, every law that governs them. But don't mix the two. You can't delegate chaos and you can't micromanage scale. Choose your discipline, because leadership isn't about how much you do. It's about how much you ensure gets done. Gates scales through structure. Musk scales through intensity. Both are right because both are consistent. 4. Applying it to you. So how do you lead like this? Step 1. Identify your natural polarity. Are you a builder or a conductor? Do you get energy from being in the details or from seeing the bigger picture? Self-awareness saves years of leadership confusion. Step 2. If you're a Gates, learn to design systems. Document everything. Build frameworks for decision-making. Create feedback loops that don't depend on you. Hire for intelligence, not obedience. Step 3. If you're a Musk, learn to control without crushing. Inspect deeply, but don't paralyze your team. Teach them how you think so your control creates competence, not fear. Channel your intensity into shared standards, not endless correction. Step 4. Hold total accountability either way. Whether you trust or test, own everything. The moment you blame the system or the people, you've lost the discipline that makes leadership real. Remember, delegation without ownership is laziness. Micromanagement without understanding is arrogance. Both destroy trust. But disciplined leadership, the kind Gates and Musk model, turns trust and control into fuel. 5. The core principle: choose your battlefield. Here's the truth. Leadership isn't about personality. It's about process. Gates and Musk didn't pick their styles by accident. They picked them because they fit the physics of their work. Gates builds in predictable systems, software, logic, scalability. That world rewards trust. Musk builds in physical reality, rockets, cars, factories. That world punishes assumptions. So choose your battlefield. If your world runs on predictable code, delegate. If your world runs on unpredictable risk, micromanage. Chapter 7. Emotionless calm versus explosive drive. Let's talk about emotional control, not suppression, not denial, control. Because the way Bill Gates and Elon Musk use emotion reveals two opposite, yet equally powerful approaches to winning under pressure. Gates operates with calm precision. Musk thrives in chaotic energy. One uses silence to sharpen logic. The other uses fire to ignite movement. Both are emotional masters, just in different languages. Here's what most people never understand. Emotion isn't weakness. Emotion is a form of energy. What separates the winners from the wrecked is how they use that energy. Gates converts emotion into focus. Musk converts it into fuel. You can't imitate their personality, but you can learn their systems of control. Because in life, you'll face chaos, crisis, and confrontation. And how you respond determines whether you collapse or conquer. 1. Gates, the power of stillness under stress. When chaos hits, Bill Gates doesn't raise his voice. He lowers his pulse. In interviews and board meetings, he's often described as unervingly calm. Former Microsoft executives said that during the company's biggest legal battles, including the brutal antitrust case in the late 90s, Gates's composure never cracked. He would sit silently through hours of testimony, cross-examinations, and courtroom strategy sessions, analyzing, calculating, waiting for patterns to emerge. His face, blank. His tone, flat. His brain, on fire with analysis. He once said, "If you can't handle being calm when things go wrong, you'll never see what's actually happening. That's not emotionless. That's disciplined emotion." Gates doesn't suppress stress. He channels it into precision. It's not about being cold. It's about being clear. It's not about avoiding emotion. It's about commanding it. This is what you must learn. When you lose control of your emotional temperature, you lose control of your decisions. And when decisions drive your destiny, emotion becomes a lever, not a liability. Gates uses calm like a surgeon uses a scalpel. Every word is measured. Every move is deliberate. His calm isn't weakness. It's a calculated strategy. In negotiation, calm is power. In leadership, calm is trust. In vision, calm is clarity. When everyone else panics, the one who stays still becomes the signal in the noise. So when you face a problem, pause. Don't just react. Think. Breathe. Pull back. Don't lash out. Most people think reacting fast equals strength. It doesn't. It equals insecurity. True control is in deliberate delay. It's saying, "I don't need to match your chaos. I'll outlast it." Gates's calm breeds precision. And precision is what keeps empires alive when storms hit. 2. Musk, the fire that moves mountains. Now flip the script. Elon Musk is the complete opposite and yet equally effective. Where Gates finds power in stillness, Musk finds power in intensity. When Tesla was weeks away from bankruptcy in 2018, Musk didn't sit quietly to manage stress. He exploded it into momentum. He worked 120-hour weeks, slept on factory floors, and lived inside the crisis until it bent to his will. He once said, "If something is important enough, even if the odds are against you, you should still do it." That's not logical. That's emotional fire harnessed and weaponized. Musk uses emotion like rocket fuel, volatile but potent. His passion ignites his teams, his investors, and even his critics. He's known to shout, to demand, to push past the limits of human endurance. Not because he's reckless, but because he believes intensity collapses timelines. When SpaceX rockets exploded on the launch pad, he didn't freeze. He fueled up. He tweeted, "Rockets are hard." Then he went back to work the same night. No self-pity, just motion. Controlled rage turned into progress. It's not about staying calm. It's about staying controlled within the chaos. Musk's emotional drive is not random. It's targeted. He directs it like a laser. Every outburst has intention. Every surge has purpose. He understands the principle. Energy, when focused, becomes transformation. You see, some people use calm to survive. Others use fire to accelerate. Gates preserves order. Musk creates disruption. Both win because both control their emotional output. 3. The real lesson: controlled emotion is a weapon. Here's what you must burn into your mind. Emotion is not the enemy. Uncontrolled emotion is. You've been told to stay professional, to hide emotion, to stay neutral. But neutrality doesn't build empires. Intensity does. Precision does. The mastery lies in balance. Gates teaches you to cool the system when pressure spikes because panic blinds logic. Musk teaches you to heat the system when motivation fades because comfort kills momentum. Both are essential. Logic without emotion becomes stagnation. Emotion without logic becomes destruction. The equation of greatness is this: calm plus fire equals control. Control equals power. You must learn when to turn down the heat and when to turn it up. When to be like Gates, detached, calculating, silent. And when to be like Musk, relentless, demanding, explosive. If you're always calm, you'll move too slow. If you're always emotional, you'll burn too fast. The masters oscillate between both by choice, not by impulse. 4. How to practice emotional control daily. So, how do you build this discipline? You start with awareness. Step 1. Measure your triggers. Write down the moments that make you reactive. When someone criticizes you, delays your plans, disrespects your time. Awareness is the first layer of control. Step 2. Slow your reaction time. Before responding, pause 3 seconds. Breathe. In those 3 seconds, emotion becomes strategy. Step 3. Redirect emotion into precision or action. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want? If the goal is accuracy, cool down. If the goal is urgency, heat up. You control the thermostat. Step 4. Rehearse calm and intensity on demand. Don't wait for chaos. Train it. Practice calm during small irritations. A slow driver, a rude email. Then, practice intensity. Push your limits during workouts, deadlines, or speeches. Build emotional range like a muscle. The point is not to feel less. It's to feel deliberately. Emotion should serve you, not enslave you. Because here's the truth. The world will test you. It will provoke you. It will throw you into storms. And most people will drown in their own feelings. But the elite, the disciplined, they use emotion as a compass, not a cage. 5. Calm and fire, the dual mastery. Bill Gates wins the long game because calm precision compounds. Elon Musk wins the impossible game because emotional fire defies odds. If you can merge the two, you become unstoppable. Calm under chaos. Fire under fatigue. Emotionless calm gives you clarity to see the truth. Explosive drive gives you the courage to change it. Together, they create indestructible momentum. Remember, it's not about being calm all the time. It's about being calm on command. It's not about being emotional all the time. It's about being intense with intention. Emotion isn't the enemy. Controlled emotion is a weapon. You've learned to command emotion, the silent strength of Gates and the burning drive of Musk. Now it's time to move to the next evolution of discipline, the art that holds every empire together, time. Chapter 8. The future they see and you don't. Most people live in the present. Bill Gates and Elon Musk live in the future. But here's the key. They don't see the same one. Gates looks forward and sees systems. Musk looks forward and sees stars. Gates builds to protect the world we have. Musk builds to escape it. One protects Earth. The other escapes it. Both prepare for the future. And that's why they win, because they're not reacting to the present. They're designing the next century. You can't win if your vision ends with today. You can't grow if your thinking stops where comfort begins. The difference between you and them is not intelligence. It's timeline. Gates and Musk both build for humanity, but on entirely different timelines with entirely different definitions of what the future even means. Let's break down how they think. Let's dissect how they plan. Because until you see time the way they do, you'll always live inside someone else's version of the future. 1. Bill Gates, the guardian of the planet. Bill Gates doesn't talk about Mars. He talks about malaria. He doesn't dream about spaceships. He dreams about sanitation. Because Gates's future isn't about escape, it's about stability. After leaving Microsoft, he could have built rockets, cars, or AI labs. Instead, he built the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Why? Because he believes the biggest leverage on the future is saving the systems that already exist. He once said, Innovation is moving faster than ever, but it's not spread evenly. That sentence defines his worldview. Gates sees the future as a coordination problem, not a creation problem. The technology is there. The discipline to apply it wisely isn't. When Gates looks at global health, he sees code. Not software code, system code. Supply chains, vaccines, education models, sanitation networks. He thinks like an engineer of civilization. When COVID-19 hit, Gates wasn't surprised. He'd warned about pandemics years earlier in his 2015 TED Talk. If anything kills 10 million people in the next few decades, it's more likely to be a highly infectious virus than a war. He wasn't guessing. He was forecasting based on data. That's Gates's discipline, long-term logic. He predicts failure before it arrives. He builds firewalls around civilization. To him, progress isn't about speed, it's about sustainability. He invests in solutions that compound quietly. Vaccines, clean energy, AI safety, agricultural efficiency. Because he knows if Earth collapses, innovation doesn't matter. Gates's future is contained evolution. Improve what exists. Prevent collapse. Optimize humanity's survival systems. He once put it simply, climate change is a terrible problem, and it absolutely needs to be solved. It deserves to be a huge priority. That's his mission, not to expand beyond Earth, but to preserve it. It's not about excitement. It's about endurance. Not about fame. About function. That's his discipline. 2. Elon Musk, the architect of escape. Now let's switch lenses to Elon Musk. Musk looks at the same planet and says, this isn't enough. Where Gates sees protection, Musk sees limitation. He once said, I want to die on Mars, just not on impact. That's not a joke. That's his roadmap. To Musk, the future isn't about defending Earth. It's about expanding humanity's reach beyond it. His obsession isn't comfort. It's continuity. He's not trying to save the world we have. He's trying to make sure humanity exists no matter what happens to it. That's why his companies form a vertical ladder of human survival. Tesla, sustainable energy for Earth. SpaceX, a backup plan beyond Earth. Neuralink, merge humans with AI to avoid obsolescence. The Boring Company, redesign cities for efficiency and speed. Every project is connected. Every mission stretches past the visible horizon. Musk said, you want to wake up in the morning and think the future is going to be great. That's not optimism, that's responsibility. He doesn't believe in hope. He believes in engineering destiny. Where Gates builds safety nets, Musk builds launch pads. Where Gates calculates risk, Musk bets everything. Because he knows the same comfort that keeps you safe also keeps you small. Musk's discipline is obsession with expansion. He doesn't want humanity to be smart. He wants it to be limitless. He once told a SpaceX engineer, we're not doing this to make money. We're doing this to make life multiplanetary. And he meant it. This isn't ego, it's existential math. If humans only exist on one planet, one disaster can erase us. Musk's solution: don't argue about the apocalypse. Outrun it. He sees the future not as an evolution of Earth, but as an expansion of species. The rest of us talk about the next 5 years. Musk talks about the next 5 centuries. That's why he seems irrational, because the future he's building isn't visible yet. 3. 2 visions, 1 humanity. Now step back. Gates builds for survival. Musk builds for expansion. Gates wants to prevent collapse. Musk wants to transcend it. And both are right, because one protects life, the other ensures its continuity. You see, civilization needs both types of builders: the guardians who keep systems stable, and the pioneers who break systems open. Gates and Musk are 2 halves of a necessary duality. Without Gates, Musk's chaos would destroy itself. Without Musk, Gates' stability would stagnate. One protects Earth. The other escapes it. Both prepare for the future. Their conflict isn't philosophical. It's practical. Gates says, fix what's broken before you leave. Musk says, we'll fix it faster if we move forward. You don't have to agree with either. But you must choose which mindset you live by, because both are disciplines, not opinions. Gates's discipline is in patience, seeing systems as fragile, interdependent webs that must be protected with logic and foresight. Musk's discipline is in defiance, refusing to accept that humanity's story ends on a single rock in space. It's not about who's right, it's about how they think. 4. The lesson for you. You're not Gates or Musk, but you can adopt their future-building frameworks. Ask yourself, what future are you preparing for? Are you protecting the systems that keep you alive, or are you building the systems that take you further? Step 1. Build survival. That's your Gates phase. Create structure. Build savings. Learn discipline. Control your inputs. Eliminate chaos. Gates's strength is in foresight. He prevents problems before they explode. Step 2. Build expansion. That's your Musk phase. Once stable, take calculated risks. Explore new industries, new skills, new territories. Musk's strength is in motion. He acts where others hesitate. The real power is not in choosing one over the other. It's in mastering both. Protect what matters. Build what's missing. 5. The core truth. The future doesn't belong to the smartest. It belongs to the builders of time. The people who look 10 steps ahead while the world is still staring at its feet. Bill Gates looks 30 years ahead and asks, how do we prevent collapse? Elon Musk looks 300 years ahead and asks, how do we survive beyond collapse? They're both solving the same problem, human continuity. They're just operating on different scales of existence. And you, right now, need to decide your scale. Are you optimizing the present or designing the future? Are you maintaining systems or creating new worlds? Because if you can't see beyond today, you'll always be working inside someone else's tomorrow. 6. The closing message. The future isn't a dream. It's a discipline. Chapter 9. Their relationship with risk and failure. Most people run from risk. They flinch when the unknown stares back at them. They build excuses, not experiments. But Bill Gates and Elon Musk, two men wired completely differently, use risk as a weapon. They don't run from it. They redefine it. Here's the truth. Risk isn't about recklessness. It's about control. And failure isn't about loss. It's about leverage. The difference between how Gates and Musk treat risk and failure explains why both built empires. But it also explains why one built stability, and the other built chaos that created revolutions. Let's break it down. Point 1. Gates minimizes risk through research. Musk maximizes risk through testing. Bill Gates's entire method of operation is about prediction through preparation. When he was building Microsoft, Gates's obsession wasn't just coding, it was certainty. He once said, I never took a step unless I could see 3 moves ahead. That's the Gates method. He doesn't gamble. He calculates. When Gates reads, he's not just gathering information. He's simulating scenarios. He's stress testing ideas before reality does. He uses data, trends, and logic as a safety net. Gates's philosophy is simple. Minimize risk by maximizing understanding. Every decision, whether it's software design or vaccine distribution, is anchored in evidence. He creates systems that absorb volatility instead of reacting to it. That's why his organizations, Microsoft, the Gates Foundation, operate like machines. Predictable, precise, and scalable. His discipline is control. His obsession is prevention. Now contrast that with Musk. Elon Musk doesn't minimize risk. He invites it to dinner. His entire operating system is built on testing in reality, not theorizing in comfort. When he was warned that SpaceX had only a 10% chance of success, Musk replied, I'm not trying to be anyone's savior. I just want to think about the future and not be sad. That's not ego. That's conviction. He doesn't want safety. He wants truth. And truth only reveals itself under pressure. Where Gates builds simulations, Musk builds explosions, literally. He'll launch rockets that fail spectacularly just to collect real data. He'll release a Tesla prototype that breaks so the next one won't. His philosophy: if things are not failing, you're not innovating enough. It's not about chaos for its own sake. It's about speed through friction. Gates controls the system. Musk accelerates through it. Both are right, but only if you understand which game you're playing. Point 2. Gates avoids failure. Musk requires it. This is where their philosophies collide, and where most people misunderstand greatness. Gates avoids failure because his mission depends on stability. He built the software that ran the world. There's no room for public explosions when your product powers global systems. His discipline was predictability. He once said, "Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose." That's not fear, it's awareness. Gates knows that failure has a cost, and the more people rely on you, the higher that cost becomes. So he builds redundancy. He builds backups for backups. He doesn't want to experience failure. He wants to study it in others. But Musk, he needs failure. His companies, SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, don't exist without it. They're built on the assumption that breaking things faster is how you evolve sooner. Every explosion, every failed prototype, every public stumble, it's all tuition. He's not paying for mistakes. He's paying for momentum. When a SpaceX rocket failed to land for the third time, Musk didn't apologize. He tweeted, "At least the debris was in a good place." That's a man who understands that failure isn't final. It's feedback. You see, Gates builds safety into systems. Musk builds danger into design. One minimizes loss. The other maximizes learning. And both are correct because both understand that risk and failure are not outcomes. They are tools. Point 3. Safety and danger are tools, not states. This is the mindset shift you need to internalize. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the cost of mastery. Let that line burn into your mind. When you avoid risk, you pay with stagnation. When you embrace risk, you pay with pain. Either way, there's a price. The question is, which pain buys progress? Most people want Gates' stability without earning his preparation. They want Musk's innovation without enduring his chaos. But you can't have one without the discipline that fuels it. Gates' discipline is data. He reads until the unknown becomes predictable. He reduces risk until uncertainty has no power left. Musk's discipline is resilience. He acts until the unknown becomes familiar. He burns through failure until fear has no power left. It's not about being fearless. It's about being trained. You either train to avoid failure or train to recover from it. Gates trains for control. Musk trains for endurance. And here's the ultimate truth. Both are still at war with risk, just on different fronts. The lesson. So what's the takeaway for you? Stop thinking of risk as danger. Start thinking of it as direction. Every big move in your life demands a decision. Will you calculate your way forward like Gates, or test your way forward like Musk? Neither is better. But one fits your mission better than the other. If your goal is stability, build systems like Gates. If your goal is disruption, build prototypes like Musk. But either way, build with intent. Don't hide behind fear and call it logic. Don't chase chaos and call it courage. Discipline defines the difference. Because it's not about avoiding failure. It's about mastering your response to it. The people who win, who actually dominate, understand that every failure is feedback, every risk is a test, and every test is a step forward. That's the law. That's the real cost of greatness. Failure isn't fatal. It's fundamental. Risk isn't reckless. It's required. And safety isn't strength. It's stagnation disguised as wisdom. You want to grow? Then you'd better start paying the price. Transition. You've now understood how they dance with risk, one through logic, the other through danger. But the next battle is deeper. Beyond risk. Beyond failure. It's the battle for identity. Because once you've faced failure, the next question isn't what happened. It's who am I now? Chapter 10, The Hybrid Mindset. Think like Gates, act like Musk. Here's the reality few people want to hear. Success isn't about being like Bill Gates, and it isn't about being like Elon Musk. It's about being both. This is where the most powerful lesson of this entire audiobook comes together. All the chapters you've absorbed, The calm thinking, the calculated systems, the obsession, the risk, the patience, the fire, culminate in one truth. Plan like Gates. Execute like Musk. Become your own revolution. That's the hybrid mindset. Not theory. Not philosophy. Actionable discipline. If you only think like Gates, you'll drown in analysis. You'll wait for perfection and miss opportunity. If you only act like Musk, you'll burn yourself out. You'll crash into obstacles without preparation. Greatness demands the fusion of both. Strategy and speed. Depth and disruption. Logic and audacity. 1. Gates's patience plus Musk's courage equals ultimate balance. Bill Gates's superpower is patience. Elon Musk's superpower is courage. Alone, they're formidable. Together, unstoppable. Gates once said, "I choose a lazy person to do a hard job, because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it." That's patience disguised as strategy. He doesn't rush. He builds frameworks. He surveys the terrain. Musk, on the other hand, said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor." That's courage disguised as obsession. He doesn't wait for certainty. He leaps into the unknown. The hybrid mindset is simple. First, think. Analyze the terrain. Identify the risks. Build your systems. Gates's patience ensures that your foundation doesn't crack. Then act. Move aggressively. Test. Fail fast. Iterate. Musk's courage ensures that you break barriers and create results that others think are impossible. It's not about choosing one over the other. It's about sequencing them properly. Depth before disruption. Logic before audacity. You cannot disrupt without depth. You cannot plan forever without action. The hybrid mindset is the bridge between strategy and execution. 2. Depth before disruption. Here's the hard truth. Most people get this backward. They see Musk's audacious leaps and assume action is everything. They imitate the rocket launches, the prototypes, the rapid failures, but ignore the strategic thinking that Gates embodies. When Elon Musk launches a rocket, he doesn't just hope it flies. He calculates, simulates, tests. But unlike Gates, he's willing to risk visible failure. He doesn't spend years avoiding failure. He spends years preparing to fail intelligently. Gates, conversely, spends years avoiding failure. He reads. He models. He plans. But if he never takes action, all that insight is wasted. The hybrid mindset merges these extremes. Gates gives you depth. He gives you foresight. He gives you the mental frameworks to prevent catastrophic errors. Musk gives you execution. He gives you velocity. He gives you momentum to turn plans into reality. Without Gates, Musk's speed is reckless. Without Musk, Gates's patience is paralyzing. It's not about copying them. It's about internalizing their principles in sequence. Depth before disruption. Thought before execution. Precision before velocity. 3. Discipline of the hybrid mindset. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Let me repeat this. Plan like Gates. Execute like Musk. Become your own revolution. Say it aloud. Embed it. Live it. Because this is the principle that transforms knowledge into results. Now, let's dissect the discipline it requires. Step 1. Build systems. Before you act, design your framework. Study your environment. Understand the variables. Gates's method ensures that your action doesn't implode in chaos. Step 2. Accept risk intelligently. After preparation, step into the unknown. Musk doesn't fear failure because he knows the foundation is strong. His discipline is audacious testing. Your discipline must be the same. Act with courage after insight. Step 3. Iterate relentlessly. Both Gates and Musk are relentless. Gates iterates quietly through refinement. Musk iterates loudly through experimentation. The hybrid mindset combines both. Refine your strategy while moving boldly. It's a cycle. Think, plan, execute, analyze, repeat. No shortcuts. No excuses. 4. Real-world examples. Take SpaceX. Musk doesn't just build rockets and hope for the best. He studies physics, simulations, supply chains, just like Gates would in his domain. Then he launches prototypes, knowing some will explode because action is essential. The result? A company that went from repeated failure to unprecedented success in private space exploration. Take Microsoft. Gates didn't just build Windows. He built systems, software ecosystems, licensing models, partnerships before taking the market by storm. Then he executed with disciplined speed, outmaneuvering competitors. The result? Microsoft became a global infrastructure, not just a product. The lesson is clear. Depth without execution is sterile. Execution without depth is destructive. The hybrid mindset fuses the two. 5. How to adopt this mindset. You don't have to be a billionaire. You don't have to own a tech empire. This is applicable to any field, any goal. Step 1. Map the problem like Gates. Gather information. Model outcomes. Reduce risk through understanding. Step 2. Move like Musk. Take calculated leaps. Fail fast, learn faster. Iterate until mastery. Step 3. Internalize repetition. Say it, write it, live it, plan like Gates. Execute like Musk. Become your own revolution. Do this consistently, and your decisions will stop being reactive. They will stop being cautious. They will become unshakable. The hybrid mindset turns hesitation into confidence and fear into fuel. 6. Reinforcing the principle. Let me hammer this home. It's not about copying personalities. It's about copying principles. Gates teaches patience, strategy, and anticipation. Musk teaches speed, courage, and relentless testing. The hybrid mindset merges them. Depth plus courage equals foresight that produces results. Planning plus action equals vision that becomes reality. Analysis plus audacity equals unstoppable force. And repetition creates mastery. Plan like Gates. Execute like Musk. Become your own revolution. Say it again. Let it sink. Say it one more time. Internalize it. This is the mantra you carry into every decision, every project, every challenge. 7. The closing lesson. Now pause and absorb this. If you take nothing else from this audiobook, take this: your greatest power is not in emulating one genius. Your greatest power is in combining the best of both. Use Gates's patience to see the terrain. Use Musk's courage to move through it. Use repetition to solidify your habit. Use discipline to turn vision into reality. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's not about charging blindly into chaos. It's about creating the perfect rhythm between thought and action. The hybrid mindset is your blueprint. It's your edge. It's your roadmap to becoming unstoppable. So today, make this decision. Stop choosing between strategy and action. Stop sacrificing depth for speed. Stop fearing risk or avoiding failure. Plan like Gates. Execute like Musk. Become your own revolution. And in doing so, you'll not only understand the minds of two of history's greatest visionaries, you'll become one yourself. You've just seen two of the greatest minds on Earth, opposite in method, identical in drive. Bill Gates teaches you to think. Elon Musk teaches you to move. One builds foundations, the other builds futures. Gates says, understand before you act. Musk says, act before the world understands. The truth? You need both. You must think deeply enough to see patterns, and move fast enough to break them. You must build stability like Gates, then ignite chaos like Musk. Stop choosing one mindset. Fuse them, because the future doesn't belong to the calm or the reckless. It belongs to the hybrid mind. So ask yourself now, will you wait for permission or create the next revolution? Your answer decides everything.